Previously on Unfiltered Heart Talks.
It has created a rift between men and women, so
And a cultural rift between cultures,
yeah.
this culture, that culture.
Yeah.
And what I've observed personally is that mothers have their sons, they coddle them to this point where when it comes time for this man to go out into the world, to have a family, it's almost like they're deformed. They can't do it.
Males were being raised differently. Now, males are raised to be soft and a little bit more feminine. One of the challenges that we have also seen during the rise of the feminism movement is the whole idea of passport boys. And that was a huge thing on the internet where American men were said to be leaving America to find women who were more traditional. And the challenge was that American women were no longer viewed as being traditional. They weren't traditional men, but they were no longer viewed as being traditional. So men were leaving, going outside of the country to find traditional women. And of course, with that, we saw where Caribbean women, among other women, were also having the challenge with American men. Yes. And it makes you wonder
if it's just a Western problem.
If it's just a Western problem.
I honestly believe so. I honestly believe so. Because I don't know if when you came here, you experienced a culture shock. But there are so many things that are happening here that just wouldn't happen back at home. And I'm not saying, Jamaica is paradise. It's its own little oasis. It's not a perfect place, and neither is anywhere in the world.
Right.
But some of the things I observed here shook me to my core, right? Where it concerns dating and relationship, I know so many stories of Jamaican women or women from the Caribbean or women that are not from America, dating men within this culture, and their stories are the exact same as mine, just different faces and different names. It plays out like a textbook. And I've heard of cases where men from a different culture get involved with an American or Westernized woman, and it's hell on earth.
Yeah.
So from my observation, I can say it's something with the Western culture.
But it's not only with dating women who are from this culture. It's also dating women who have been influenced and affected by the ideologies of the West.
Western ideologies,
When I was dating, one of the things that I stopped doing, and let me tell you why. I found out that there were a lot of women going on dinner dates with men, and it was their habit.
Just to have a meal.
Yes,
just to have a meal.
It was their habit.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And it reached the point where I'm saying that if you can't go for a walk with me, and not even that, when I analyze the whole first date thing where men were taking women to dinner, if that's what you want to do,
if that's what
fine.
You want to do, that's fine.
But for me, I don't think that a dinner date would be the best place for a first date for me. A dinner date by yourself or with someone else is an already awkward place, right? You are not completely comfortable sitting down in a restaurant having a meal, with a bunch of different people. So it's an already awkward experience by yourself, much less to take someone who you don't know. Can you imagine the level of awkwardness you have within that environment? It does not necessarily or really give me time to truly know the person that is sitting across from me. So for me, I prefer my first date to be something simple or something fun. So let's go bowling, or let's go to there's this place that I used to go to. It's just a fun place that you can go and play different games. And it really puts you in a place where you can get to see someone's true personality. There's this saying, I don't remember it correctly, but if you want to see someone's personality, you have to take them outside of their comfort zone. You know, you bring them to a place where they can just be natural and be themselves. And I think that with that, you are better able to see someone for who they are, rather than just sitting down at a dinner table having dinner. I don't think that it does justice to the reality of getting to know someone, you know. So that's one of the challenge also that you find with some women take it as a practice to just go have dinner with different men in expensive restaurants, and they know from the get-go that they are not interested in these men. That was one of the challenge I saw in my dating experience, where if I want to take somebody out on a date, I usually ask, so what would you like to do? And if they say dinner date, it would just be a huge red flag for me, because I'm thinking, oh, you're just one of those girls who want to go have dinner. And, you know, and then you had dating app is just a crazy place. You know, talk about dating app and the whole dating app experience. You meet a bunch of people and it's really, people are just not genuine. Have you ever been on a dating app before?
Yes, I have.
Yeah,
it's not the best place to meet someone. I think the generic, it's more natural to go about getting to know somebody by meeting them and seeing them face to face. And back to what we were talking about, a lot of Caribbean women or women that are not from this culture are having a tough time dating men that are from this culture. You know, from my observation, from my past marriage, when you talk about lack of integrity, when you talk about victimization mindset, it's them against us. He had this mindset where it's a white man against me. And I get it. I'm not negating the fact that racism exists. But I do not want to live the rest of my life a victim of racism.
Right.
You know, you have to rise above that. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery, as Bob Marley rightfully says. So when you talk about victimization mentality, very rich in this culture, especially in these men. When you talk about lack of integrity, I remember standing in the kitchen when I was married.
Sure you was, sure that.
Yes! And I was standing in the kitchen and I was preparing a meal.
Yes.
And right behind me was my then husband in the kitchen having a conversation with his aunt. And it seemed like at that point he wanted to get some housing apartment so that he could rent out a part of it, so he can get some money for school or some money for whatever, right? And another thing too, these people are big on getting money, even if they have to scheme, plot, lie, and thief, right? So in the kitchen, we're there, and he's planning out this plan of how he wants to get this place, but he can't qualify for the place because, one, he's not working and he does not keep a job. That's another thing. Some of these guys, especially some of the Black American men, not all of them, but some of them can't keep a job. So he couldn't keep a job, and he wants to find some way to apply and qualify for a duplex or multi-apartment complex, right? And I'm in the kitchen there. They're having their discussion. And the aunt said to him, and the aunt is a notary public, she said to him, no problem. They're not going to know. We could just, do up some, fake pay stubs. Me no business.
I don't want peace. I want problems, always.
Some fake pay stubs. And I was like, they were having this discussion like it's just having tea. And I looked around, and when my eyes and his made four, he didn't think to himself, the look in his eyes was like, no, I'm not gonna do that, auntie.
Pause.
This is my story. I was there. The look in
but I'm just thinking about.
Okay, let me just finish off with the lack of integrity, the dishonesty, and people. I found that a lot of people will do from what I've seen. A lot of people will have no problem lying, have no problem scheming and plotting. How is it gonna be real and deep and unfiltered if I'm going to not tell my story? People want me to cover up and be cute. Thinking about what?
The idea.
Idea of what?
Come, lower your voice.
No, idea of what?
I'm just thinking about the whole
So I'm not gonna say, no, say that in the documentary because this and I'm not going to filter a goddamn thing.
Alright, share your story. You see things like him hit you or things when him do to you.
Let's continue.
Different.
Let's continue.
But that's just what
because guess what? When you're in marriage and you get into shit like that, your ass is on the fire if your husband do crap. So that is my business.
We are talking to so.
You.
Do not speak to me like that.
I apologize for that. The lack of integrity here is huge. And I wouldn't say Jamaica or any other country is top tier on any form of integrity or perfect in any way. However, here it's on steroids. It's like everything here is on steroids. Everything in this culture is on steroids.
Right. I was talking to this one girl and she goes to the same church. Father, everybody is involved in the church. Everything. She tells me she's a Christian. Because that's one of the things that guided my dating is that I wanted to make sure that the woman is a Christian woman, a woman who believes in God and have that relationship. But you find sometimes that people say that they are Christians and they believe in God, but Christianity means anything here and everybody is a Christian. Rappers are Christians. People who steal are Christians, people who kill. Christianity is just a name that is being thrown around and everybody is a Christian, and if you are not careful, you get caught up into this whole idea of I'm a Christian, but I can do whatever I want, just everything that you would not do in your culture as a Christian person, you find that people do it here in their culture. And it's kind of crazy. So even as a strong-minded male who wants to find a spiritual woman, you really have to be careful when a woman tells you or when a guy says that to you that he's a Christian, when a woman says to you as a man, she's a Christian. What does that mean? What does that look like? Another thing is that when you talk about males here in North America and males elsewhere, like in the Caribbean, it's like you're talking about two different set of species, Men that comes from the Caribbean, well, what I know, we're hardworking.
Yes.
We are go-getters. Like, when I see young men from my country come here, we don't come here to sit down. We come here to work and to make a life.
And the funny thing is, when we watch Pop the Balloon and Find Love, we can almost single out the girl or the guy that
who
is
not
just
from this culture. Yep, you definitely can.
You can just single them out. And then when you waiting, something was different about you.
Yeah.
When I was like, why
you
was I drawn?
That mindset.
Yeah, you can hear the difference in the mindset.
Yep.
They have a little bit more roots. They have roots. I don't even want to say more. They have roots. When I started liking Candace Owens and the things that she was saying, I'm like, there's something different about this girl. She's not the average.
She's not that.
And then I see she mentioned in one of her podcasts that, she has some roots in one of these Caribbean countries. And I'm like, that's why. And it almost seems like if somebody has some form of tenacity and some form of, a deeper mindset is not shallow, then they have to have some roots elsewhere. We're raised with somebody that was from this way. And you know what the funny thing is? My sister said one time, and I never understood it because I was in Jamaica at the time. She said, before she pick up one of them man yaso, she go back a yard and brush off one of the man them and bring them up here, come marry them. Right. And I never understood it till my experience.
I think men here are more feminized.
Absolutely.
Like, when you talk about men from other parts of the world, a lot of the countries, a lot of places that other men come from to come here, these are hard places, rough. Rough to the point where not even in a city, boys in America
can't manage that.
Can't manage them kind of money. I remember, for example, let me give you an example. When we were in high school, I remember I did cross country, right? And me come from Chilani. I'm from Chillarney. That's a yam parish. It's a farming parish. And it's a cockpit country. You know, it's filled with the mountains and the valleys. And when we were doing cross country at my first high school, we started at the bottom of a mountain. Okay? And end at the top of the mountain.
Wow.
When I went to Victor Dixon High School.
We just did the plane. And maybe up at NCU.
We were doing cross country at Victor Dixon High School. And I remember you had, I don't remember the police guy name. He was there on the bike. Let me tell you something. That bike changed gears like worse to keep up with me.
Wow.
Because when I asked, in fact, when I was sitting down and I remember there were a number of guys, and when the race started, they said, Kevin, you're not going. I'm saying, no, so I'm going to do it for you. And I just got up and I started running down the guys. And I remember when I passed most of the guys and we went up NCU Hill. And I remember asking somebody, how many hills are we going to have to do? Because I wanted to know how to pace myself. And they said, we're going to do this hill, which was the first hill to get up to NCU. And when you go through NCU, there's another hill and that's it. Everything else. I said, what? That's crazy. Flew over that hill. I was in first place. Go around NCU, flew over the other hill, and everything else was downhill.
So the hardship that you experienced in Chillarney
as a country, a country boy, as a countryman. When I went to NCU, it was like it's a piece of cake to the point where when I went in with the tickets, the teacher said that's not possible. So what do you mean, Seymour? What is it, Seymour? No, probably not. Probably I'm thinking about Pastor Seymour. That's not the police guy's name.
Yeah.
But the police guy, when he went around, he brought me around, gave me all the 3 tickets, and the teacher, it was a point of contention. They were saying that, no, that's not possible. There's no way you can run cross country so fast. And I had all 3 tickets. I had the tickets at all points, but they didn't believe me. And the police guy had to come back around to tell them, no, I followed him and he had me changing gears in this bike just to keep up with him. You know, so there's a vast difference between countrymen and city boys. And there's a vast difference between men who are from the Caribbean who used to hard work or other international men who used to hardship within their country versus American men.
So the thing is now, it's obviously an issue. An issue that we probably can't fix. It's an issue within the culture itself. Within the culture itself that we probably can't fix. We just probably have to go, you know, as I've said in my previous videos on Note to Self 360. If you have not seen that video, go check it out. It is 10 Commandments, a message to new U.S. immigrants. I speak about if you cannot find somebody within your culture, and it's not just cultural compatibility. Well, it's majorly cultural compatibility.
And the retraining of culture and all of that.
If you can't find somebody within your culture, stay single. Just stay single. Like I'm not being mean or anything. Just stay single, because everybody loves the novelty. But then when it comes to the nitty gritty and the lifelong, you know, challenges that you're gonna have and the expectations, it's gonna get rough. The novelty will wear off, and you're going to wonder, okay, where's this going? So how do we solve this issue? You
know, when I don't think that it's an issue.
Or people should just stay with their culture.
When I think I would say this. This is my belief. I believe that you stand a best chance going with your culture. That's number one. And we have seen it in America where a lot of ethnic groups date within their cultures.
Yes.
Like Indians date within their culture. Most Asians date within their culture. Do you have exceptions? Of course.
Of course there are exceptions.
There are a lot of exceptions in every culture. But a lot of culture have recognized the difficulty in dating just people here with the mindset that they have. And they're different. And I think that people who are here, and it's so crazy because if the men here are having problems with the women here, and the women outside are having problems with the men here,
they should just stay together.
Maybe they should just stay together.
Oh my gosh.
You know, and it's not even funny, but let me tell you some of the challenges that I've had.